My brother Yacob is a mighty warrior for King Yeshua. You see, in the spiritual realm, he is called a sheepdog. Now, many shepherds back in the day, and today they still use them, they use sheepdogs. They trained them for years and months to help them guard the sheep. Now, my brother Yacob, he is called a sheepdog in the spiritual realm. Now, in the last days, it talks about that Yeshua's sheep are going to be gathered at the end of time. That they're going to be, all the lost sheep are going to be gathered together. The chosen ones. Now, my brother Yacob was called and destined to be one of these sheepdogs, to bring the fold, the flock, back to Yeshua. To better understand what a sheepdog does, I'm going to show you some clips to demonstrate the very similarities of a sheepdog in the physical and what they do in the spiritual, and how important their job is to the body of Christ.
If I want to collect my sheep, bring them down, take them home, that's what the dogs are for. And I have a few sheep right there. You'll get to see what the dog can do when I go to work. Before I bring the sheep in front of you, which I will, the dog will move them to the left, to the right, to the left again, and that's just to show you how much in control the dog can be. There's no other reason. Best.
Shalom. I'd like to say my testimony about my name and how I got it. And I'll explain something. I bought a new van and I was changing my tools from one van to the other. And it came lunchtime, and my wife came up to me and said, "I've made you a sandwich and a coffee. Come inside." So I came in and I sat down as I'm sitting like this. I had my sandwich and my coffee, and I had a cat nap. And I fell asleep, and I had a vision that my soul had come out of my body and it was going through the roof up into heaven, and I could see myself sleeping, and I could see my wife working in the kitchen. I'm like, oh no, I'm dead. Something's not right. So I get to heaven, and I knew I was in heaven, so I took my shoes off because it was holy ground. Because I'm unworthy, because everything of me was just filth. And I took my shoes off, and I saw in front of me these three big, beautiful angels that I knew them, and they knew me very well. They seemed to be angels. And I turned to the right, and I could see the kingdom of God. And I can hear God speaking to them. And as he was speaking to them, it sounded like many waters, a rushing of many waters, if that makes sense, like or thunder. And it was very scary. And one relayed it to me and said, "My good and faithful servant Yacob." And as he said Yacob, I turned around to have a look and see, like, who's he talking to? And he's talking to me. Anyway, cut a long story. I asked and said, "Am I dead? Can I ask you a question?" They said, "Yes." I go, "Am I dead?" And they laughed and they said, "No, you're not dead." And my good and faithful servant Yacob, we just want you to know that your tools from your van that you're putting in your old van into your new van, they're going to get stolen. And God sees you as his good and faithful servant, and he just wants you to know that. And I said, is it because when I was young I used to steal and I stole a lot of things in my time? You know, chocolates here at the milk bar, you know, I needed the bike to ride home one day, I didn't know what to do, and stuff like this. And he said, no, you've been forgiven of these things, but he said not to do them again. I said, I'll never do them again. I haven't done them for years. And he just wants you to know that. And I said, can I ask you one more question? And he said, yes. And I said, who would do such a thing to me? So they picked me up and they took me. And I saw this man. He looked very familiar. And I go, can you just get me a little bit more closer? And I thought, wow, he's got me into, I'm in heaven. You know, I can't go that wrong. So I'm thinking if he gets me a little bit closer, I'm just going to give him a big whack. And as he came close, my hand came out. And as my hand was coming out, I wanted to slap him. And I was about this far away from his face. And as I went, I hear, Yacob. And it was God. There's no more relaying messages now. It was him directly with me. And I sank. And the angels picked me up. And he got one of my hairs and he plucked my hair out. And I went, ah. He goes, not even one of his hair. And he knew which one to pull out that hurt me. He goes, not even one of his hair you are to touch. Leave him to me, for I am the judge. I am the I am. For I am the I am. The way he said it was like, oh. And I said, I promise. And my hand went through his face. Now I'm watching my hand go through his head. And I'm like, this seems so real. And it ended up coming. And I slapped myself. As I slapped myself, I fell back into my body. And I fell into my chair. And I got so scared, I ran up. I go, oh my God, I went to heaven. I called my wife. She goes, what's wrong? I went, I'm in heaven. Look, I feel my heart. I was with God. I was with angels. He called me Yacob. Okay, my tools. Okay, if my tools get stolen, I went outside. I packed all my stuff up and I explained to her what happened. She thought, oh my goodness. Anyway, that evening we went to bed. And lo and behold, the next morning, my kids came up into the room my wife. They're going, oh, that was the best sleep ever. I go, yeah, it was a nice sleep. My wife made me a tea for the first time in the morning, by the way. She's never done it before, ever, and even till now. But she made me a tea, and she opened the door and she goes, your van, did you leave all the doors open? I go, no. Then we realised that my tools got stolen that same night. So as I had that vision, we went to bed that day. That night I had that vision. Now the name Yacob, anyway, she goes, your dream, your vision, I already knew. I knew who it was. I wasn't allowed to touch him. I still know who it is. But, I can only pray for him. Now, the name Yacob is, now I made a pact many years ago that I'll find everything about him, not religion, everything about him. And whatever he tells me, I'll do. Doesn't matter even if it's against what I've grown up with. I will show and teach that to others, as long as it's what he wants me to do, not of my own will, of his will, because he's the King Melech. And I came and stumbled on a book called the Book of Yacob. And I'm thinking, oh, this is many years ago. And I thought, oh, this is another Apocrypha book. What book's this? I told him, if it's not in the Bible, I don't want to know it. It's got to be in the Bible, and that is it. And then I had some Hebrew manuscripts and stuff, and somehow I got onto the internet. I did some research, and I found the name Yacob is James, and it was the book of James. So the interpretation of James is Yacob, and I went, Now this happened with the van 2014, and maybe 13, something like that. But about a year later, 2015, and I was learning the scriptures, I was learning everything, and I was thinking, I don't want to get another Apocrypha book called Yacob. And then I realized that the name James is Yacob. And then I thought back at my vision that I had, and my God was calling me by my Hebrew name. He didn't see me as Dimitri. He saw me as Yacob. And I was so overwhelmed that I realized that he had changed my name to Yacob. That was my name from my birth. And, because my name is James. In English, it's James. But he called me Yacob, but because I'm Greek background, the James is Dimitri. But he sees me as Yacob. So this is why on my hat here, Yacob, and that's how you spell it. So I'm Jacob, Yacob. And during this, my testimony doesn't finish there. I learned Hebrew from God. He taught me the scriptures, the alphabet, the days of the week, the numbers, and many other things, and many other hidden scriptures that probably hidden to a lot of people. And I believe that there's many other people that have this, but I'm blessed to even know what I know.
Shalom, my name is Yacob The Hebrew. Today I'm going to talk about what inspired me, what motivated me to find Yeshua, what you call Jesus, and his teachings and his ways, and how I found the commandments. In my life I had it pretty much everything down packed, always organized. Whatever I wanted I had, playing soccer, going out, friends, partying, girls, you name it, the whole thing. Pretty much like everyone else in the world. And what motivated me was that part of my life, but I had too much of it, and what I didn't have was enough of God. And I knew that it came time in my life, and I was like 27 at the time, but all my life I sort of grew up with God, but I strayed. I went out into the world, and I thought, I know more, and I knew better, and he let me go. And what happened was I prayed by my bed, and I was praying for at least 2 hours, and I actually fell asleep like that, just like this. And in my prayer I asked, you've given me all these multiple talents that you've given me. One thing I haven't got is a wife. If you can show me my wife, I'll believe in you. And I was sort of angry at the time in my life. And I thought, well, if you're real, then this is your chance. Like, I'm calling you out with all my heart and all my might. Like, hear me, please. I'm begging you. And I asked for, like, show me who my wife's going to be, and I'll follow you. I shouldn't tempt you. I shouldn't do this to you. I know this, but I'm calling you out, please. I need to see some kind of sign. It has to be this. Otherwise, you know, whatever I'm thinking or feeling, let it go. Anyway, cut a long story. The next day, my life changed. I met my wife the very following day. And I met her. He even told me what to say to her. He said, you know, and you can see this on other videos of mine, but you can actually see. And I asked her like all these different questions, and I told her that she's looking at her husband. And she repeated, she said, pardon? And I said, I'm looking at my wife. I reversed it. And ever since then, lo and behold, I'm married to my wife. And during my prayer as well, I asked for, we'll make an agreement, like a pact between us, and I'll name my first child after you. And my last dying breath will be Yeshua. But at the time I was calling him Jesus. And many years later, I'm married to my beautiful wife, and my first daughter, I named her Eliana. Eli means God, and Anna means answered my prayers. And then he started taking me into really deep waters, and he was really working me out. And not only was he working through within me, he was changing me. So slowly I stopped smoking. Slowly I saw the Sabbath. Slowly I saw the festive days. Slowly I saw all these scriptures. The one scripture that always captivated me was John 5:46, and it says there pretty much, it says, if you had, and Yeshua's talking, he says, if you believed in Moses, you would believe in me, he was saying, for he wrote about me. And that caught my eye, and I thought, well, Moses was so many years, many years in front of Jesus, what we call Yeshua. He's saying that he wrote about me. That means Moses knew Yeshua. And everywhere I went and asked, you know, these people wouldn't give me the time and date with the questions. And then what I noticed, that Yeshua was actually saying that he's the I am. You read it in John 8 verse 12. He says, I am the light of the world. Again, that made me think, like, he says he's the I am. And then it says in John 10 verse 9, again another verse, it says, I am the door. If anyone enters by my gate, he'll be saved. And that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to enter in through his gate, because narrow is the gate that leads you to heaven, and many are called and few are chosen. So I started looking at all these different scriptures, and I realized that Yeshua is saying that he's the I am. And then you read it again in John 10 verse 11. He says he's the good shepherd. He gives life to his sheep. John 11 25 to 26, he says, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live and never die. And that's where I was in my point of my life. And it motivated me to seek him and find him. And lo and behold, many years later, I'm keeping the Sabbath. I'm finding that all the commandments from 1 to 10 are there, and they've never changed. And that's my story, how I got to this point in my life. And I stay always in prayer and fast always, and which motivates me even more. And when you have a meek heart and a spirit that's of God, of Elohim we call him, He guides you and directs you through His Holy Spirit, and we call that the Ruach HaKodesh. And He guides you into His ways. Necessarily, sometimes you might not like what you necessarily hear or do or where you go, because you got to trust in Him. And it's not your ways, it's His ways. And it motivates me. I'm in love with the scriptures, and these are the things that motivated me to find Yeshua. And I've even got tops that say it. And He's my all, He's my everything. I pray in the morning, lunch, dinner. I pray for my family, I pray for everything, but and I pray for everyone. And I even pray for you that hears this. Okay, what is my drive when the enemy attacks? My drive when the enemy attacks is this. I know when he's attacking, because there's certain things that happen around me that Yeshua has given me sort of an eye to see what's happening, even with me and even with others. And I straight away would look at that situation and I fast, immediately fast. And I'm in a fast now. I'm in a fast for anyone that's watching this video as well, because I want the world to know Yeshua, and that was my initial fast. So I fast and I pray vigorously for my whole family. As being the head of my family, I've got a role to play, and it's very important to know the scriptures. But again, not the scriptures how people perceive what the scriptures say. The scriptures will reveal to me what it says, and that's through the Holy Spirit, the Ruach. So I don't add anything of my thoughts into the words. The words speak out to me. So that's one thing that I always tend to do and stay in line with. And the line and my rock is Yeshua. He's my rock, He's my all, and He's my everything. And another verse that I always go to, you go to 1 John 3 verse 4. It says, whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is transgression of the law. Now, if you transgress the law for me is Torah, and Torah is in the first 5 books of Moses, and that's how you say the word law in Hebrew. The word law means Torah. So if someone says I keep the Torah, it means I keep the law. Now Yeshua says they're His laws, and they're never gone away with. So you've got to remember that He is in the Torah, for it's the Most High nailed to the cross, and that's Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah. And that's the God that I serve, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He is my Lord, my God, my rock, the God of Isaac, the God of Abraham, the God of Jacob, the God of Moses, the God of Noah, the God of Adam, the God of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Peter, and the list goes on, Philip, Bartholomew. He is my Lord, He is my rock, He is my all. I give Him thanks, I give Him all the glory. I raise Him up higher and I make myself lower. And only Him I serve. May the love of Yeshua be upon everyone. And this is my testimony. I hope this motivates everyone to seek the truth and seek the scriptures. Please do not believe me. Open up your Bibles and pray vigorously for the scriptures to read out to you. And I ask this in Yeshua Mashiach's name, that the love of Him be upon you and your family, like it's upon me and my family. And God willing, that one day we can break bread together and dip it in oil and eat it with our Messiah. Shalom, shalom. This is your brother Yacob the Hebrew. And may your love and His love be with everyone.